So, I am going to hopefully talk to you about the Seder in such a way that for the rest of your life, you will have a new and different connection to the experience of the Seder. But first, let me explain to you my first religious Seder. Because I grew up not religious, and the experience was kind of like, we'd go through a couple of the paragraphs, and we'd all be like, really? Do we really want to read anymore? Bring the food. And the food would come out, and that was our Pesach Seder. So I go to Israel, and I'm going to do my first real Seder. And I'm learning all about freedom, right? It's the holiday of freedom. So this Seder is going to be the key to experiencing spiritual freedom. And what did it feel like as I left that Seder? It was like, that was actually the picture that okay? It was worse. I mean, I'm supposed to be celebrating freedom, and they're like, eat! Chow! And we're like, you guys know, you're chomping down the stuff, and you're going, and I walked out of there, and I was just like, I don't feel like I was liberated. I feel like I was in slavery, it was the exact opposite experience as I thought I was going to have. Literally, I'm going to start making bricks, So I said to myself, it must be that there's something deeper in this Seder. It must be that there's a key to help us unlock the freedom that we're supposed to be experiencing on Pesach. So I thought about it, and I searched, and I looked, and I heard an amazing idea by Rabbi Reb Chaim Myers. And he literally kind of unlocked the Seder on how to experience true freedom through the Seder, through the actual Seder on Pesach, and that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. Okay, so we have the first part of the Seder, which is all about asking questions. We're telling the story, and especially in a way where we ask questions, because when you ask questions, what do you get to? The root of something, the depths of something. So what's a question that we can ask about the first part of the Seder? Did anyone ever wonder why we have all of these fours? What are there four of?
4 cups.
4 cups. What else? 4 sons and the? 4 questions. Do you think they might be related? Did you ever ask yourself this question? Okay, the Seder is all about asking questions. Did you ever ask yourself this question? So they're all related. And we're going to look at 2 of the sets. Okay, the first one we saw was the 4 questions. What are the 4 questions? Why do we eat matzah? Why do we eat maror? Why do we dip twice, not just once? And why do we eat and drink? Reclining. So those are the 4 questions. What are the 4 sons? Who knows? I'm not going to do it yet. B. The Tam, the simple son. The what? Okay, so we've got the wise son, the Rasha, the wicked son, the simple son, and the one that doesn't even know how to ask. So what's the connection between these 4 sons and these 4 questions, and how are they going to unlock our experience of Pesach? So, what do you think corresponds to the wise son? Which one? Matzah. Why? What's so wise about matzah? So Rabbi Ben Susan asked this question. I'm going to give a little bit of a different answer. What's the difference between bread and matzah? What's the essential difference? What? So one of them is time. Okay, it's not yet had time take hold. It's outside of time. Time hasn't had a chance to take hold of it yet. What else is different? Come on, it's different in other ways too. What?
Like how it looks.
Okay, how does it look different? Okay, it also doesn't really have dimensionality. It doesn't really have space in a 3-dimensional way. It's flat. It's like 2-dimensional. Okay, so it's outside of time and it kind of is outside of space. And how are the ingredients different? Okay, so if you strip away, when we have bread, what's in our bread? Okay, we've got yeast, we've also had oil, we have salt, Ashkenazim put in lots of other stuff too, like, sugar and honey and raisin, okay. But there's all these other ingredients besides flour and water. So if you strip away everything and you're left with the thing you can still call bread, what are you left with? You're left with flour and water. If you strip it to its essence, but it still represents the thing itself, it's at its very essence. That's called matzah. So what do we have? We have something which is stripped down to its very essence. It's outside of time and it's outside of space. So what does the matzah correspond to? What part of us? It's stripped down to your essence, outside of time and space. What part of you does the matzah correspond to? Your soul. The matzah represents your soul. Okay, this is why it says that the matzah is a spiritual refuah, spiritual healing, because it literally strengthens your soul. It is soul food. It's Jewish soul food. Okay, it literally is. It's restricted in all the dimensions, right? Even the dimension of taste. So matzah represents, what does the wise son say? He also strips everything down to its essence. He says, what's the meaning of what we're doing? I want to learn, I want to understand, I want to connect. What's the meaning? Why are we doing what we're doing? I want to use this as an opportunity to grow, to become more spiritual. Okay, so do each and every one of us have a part of us that is the wise son? Is there a part of each one of us that feels that life is gorgeous and there's unbelievable opportunities to learn and to grow, and this world is just this incredible opportunity? Do we all have that part of us? What percentage of our day are we living the wise son? What percentage of our day are we looking at this world like it's a gorgeous opportunity? What percentage of our week? What percentage of our year are we embodying the wise son? Okay, so who's the second? Let's look at the wicked son. Which one does that correspond to? Maror, bitterness. What does the wicked son say? Interestingly enough, he says the same thing as the wise son. He says, why are we doing this stuff? What's the difference? His attitude. You know how people, when they say something, it's like, thanks. Okay, well, I just said thanks. No, you didn't just say thanks. You said thanks. Okay, so the way you say something conveys a lot. So he's saying, what are we doing all this stuff for? What's his attitude? What is he really asking? What's the point? This is a burden. I want to be free. I don't want these restrictions. I don't want these rules and regulations and all these things. He's a cynic. He looks at the bad. He looks at the effort. He's a cynic. He's bitter. Okay, it's the maror. He's bitter. Okay, he doesn't look at life as an opportunity. He looks at life as a burden. And these rules are just burdens. So what do we say to the Rasha? What do we do to him? It says that we blunt his teeth, which means we punch him in the mouth and knock out his teeth. Now, has there ever been a Seder where the parents punched out their kids' teeth? I don't think so. So that's not, clearly what we're intending, but there's a very important message in our response. Because if this child should get their way, and there's no more rules and restrictions and borders and boundaries, this child should get their way and are just free and relieved of any obligations and restrictions, what would the world look like? What?
Los Angeles.
We call this, there's no rule. Chaos, it's anarchy. It's basically what I would say is like Nazi Germany, which came back from Poland. Nazis said, we want to be barbarians and relieve the world of this thing called conscience, which the Jewish people invented. We want to be free. The might makes right. Might makes right. If I'm mightier than you, I'm right. There's no rule of law. There's no morality, conscious fairness. Might makes right. That's the world that this Russia is really trying to create, even though they don't realize it. So what do we do to that Russia? What do we do to him? Oh yeah, you want a world? Well, what are you going to do about it? I'm mightier than you. You're the child, I'm the parent. Do you really want this world? Do you really want this world? What's the recourse that you have? Who is to say that I can't do that? That's not right. Only the Torah, only the rules of law, only morality is protecting you from being swallowed alive. Okay, so what we do is we blunt his teeth. He's the Russia. Now, my question to you is, how much of us, because we have to ask questions to ourselves and trace ourselves back to our essence, how much of us is walking around each day as the Russia? Cynical, burdened, what's the point? You know, it's all, right? Bitter, cynical, right? We all have this, don't we? Don't we all have this bitter, cynical side? No, not at all. Right? We get angry, we're upset. It's like, what's the point? You know, it doesn't matter anyway, blah, 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 right? Do we all have this? Okay, what percentage of your day are you in the wicked child? What percentage of the day are you scorning and scoffing and lashon haring? And which percentage of your day? Think about it. So we've got the wise child who's looking at this world as this gorgeous opportunity to grow and to learn and to contribute. And then we've got the wicked who's looking at it as a burden, cynical, right, bitter, gossiping. Okay, third child is the simple child. Which one does this correspond to? Dipping. We'll explain why. So the simple child's called a Tom. Now the image that they have always in like the children's Haggadah is like this kid who's like the village idiot. Like he's like dripping soup. So that's actually not what the Haggadah means at all. Tom does not mean stupid. It actually, Yaakov is called an Ish Tam. Tam means pure, means simple. So who is this child? So this child is the one that's traditional, the one that's loyal. But why are they doing what they do every day? Because they did it the day before. Right? They're just going about their lives in habit. Why are they at the Seder? Because they were at the Seder last year. And you know, they're a good traditional Jew. They have an emotional connection even. Are they going to pass that down to their kids? Are their kids going to feel as connected necessarily as they do? They're just doing it out of habit. Do they really know the whys? They're a good person. They want to do good things. Is it enough? Right? So that's our next question. Us, we all have this simple child. How much of us live today on repeat mode, automatic pilot? How much of us are on automatic pilot every day? I was at Tony Robbins, he said, drive to work in a different route every day. Don't fall into automatic pilot. You'll feel dead. You know, getting up because I got up yesterday. I'm at the same job because I'm at the job yesterday, right? Right? I do this religious thing, or I don't do it because even I don't do the religious thing because that's how I was raised, and that's right. I just kind of do what I've always done. Autopilot. Do we all have this? What percentage of our day is just stuck in autopilot? A lot, right? Okay. Ask the questions. Knowing who you are and how you're living is the secret of the Seder. There's the questions. Getting down to your essence, breaking yourself up into your essence. How have I been living? This is the key to freedom. Okay, to get this clear. How have I been living? So the last one doesn't know how to ask is obviously. Okay, so what does this one correspond to? So the one that doesn't know how to ask corresponds to the trait of apathy. Checked out. Who cares? Now, I think this one in this generation is becoming more and more prevalent. When you have guys that are 35 years old living in their parents' back house, watching TV all day, getting the pot delivered to the home, you know, like, and like, no, it's like not getting married. Like, what are these people, how do they see life? Really, how do these people see life? They're so checked out. They're not even living anymore. They're just breathing. You know, I mean, I see this more and more is apathy, just taking the easy way out, just like kind of getting sucked in to all these different distractions and just kind of like not having a plan and not really looking at life. You know, I mean, it's great to take a vacation when you're working really hard, but your whole life, you know, I mean, like when your whole life is a vacation. It's like, and that's what it's about. You know, these people aren't getting married. It's like they're not building families and they just checked out. So this is happening more and more and more in this generation. People just kind of taking the easy street, checking out. Their life is about the weekend. They get through the week. You know, they just kind of checked out in what really life is all about. Okay, they lose it. So, how much of us succumbs to being checked out? So let's ask, what percentage in a given day are we the Chacham, the wise son? Looking at life as this gorgeous opportunity to grow and to learn. What percentage? Does anyone think they have 25%? No. 10? No. 5? Yeah, 5%? On a good day. Okay, is this amazing? Okay, what about the Russia, cynical and bitter and like burdened? 85? Okay, right? This is our lives we're talking about, our lives. Okay, how about the simple autopilot? Do it yet today because we did it yesterday. Just a lot, right? And what percentage is just kind of checked out, gave up, want it to be over? And it's just trying to like deaden the time, you know, just kind of like deaden themselves so the time passes as quickly as possible. What percentage of us is like that? Okay, that's more Americanist. Okay, so the Seder is about taking an inventory by asking questions of yourself. There's a fourfold key to help you identify, and these correspond to the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water. Okay, it's a fourfold key to help you identify how you've been living your life, and what do we mean when we say freedom? What do we mean when we say freedom? How does this help us get free? So freedom is embracing the Chacham, the wise son, getting back into a positive state of energy and excitement, getting back into a state of power and potential, right? Seeing life as this gorgeous opportunity, feeling grateful. Okay, that's what it's about. Now, can we have bad days? Of course we can have bad days. But we have to get back in touch with our soul. The matzah is our soul. And the soul has been put here for the most incredible purpose. The soul is filled with love and this sense of potential. But we got to get back in touch with our soul. And that's what Pesach is all about, and that's the matzah. That's what the matzah is all about. We have 7 days we eat matzah, and for those 7 days we get a lift. We get a special ability to strengthen our identity as a soul. That's why we eat matzah for 7 days. Okay, it's kind of like Yom Kippur. You do it for a day and you feel like you're a soul, you don't eat. Well, the matzah does that on Pesach. We get an identity as a soul, and hopefully we get charged up and we want to live that way for the rest of the year. Okay, so that's my bracha for you, is that you should use the Seder for personal transformation. Use it. God's going to give you insight. He's going to give you clarity. He's going to use the tools that He gives us. He gives us, and the wine doesn't hurt. Okay, it also helps you get a little deeper in your exploration, right? That's all part of it. Use the tools, transform, and come out of Pesach a transformed person and live an amazing life.